Hello, today is March 1st, and I want to welcome us back to this Word of the Day series. We took a week of break from last week, and that was a result of just a very busy week here at Grace, and for me personally. And we have a busy week this week, but we are able to squeeze in a little bit of time for this reading series of our lectionary. For everyone who listens to this, I just want to highlight tomorrow. This is March 1st. Tomorrow is March 2nd. Tomorrow is our second mobile pantry here at Grace for Feeding America. And so if you are a volunteer, I want to thank you ahead of time for the work that you do for this community, the getting food into the hands of people who need it here in Gwinn and Sawyer. And I want to thank all those who gave monetarily on this past Sunday, which was Hunger Sunday. We raised over $1,000 in one Sunday's offering, adding to our goal of $4,500, which is to help contribute to mitigate the costs of our pantry and to make possible pantries elsewhere. So thank you for your generosity. Thank you to our volunteers for their service. Tomorrow will also be Ash Wednesday. So if you are available to come for our evening service at 6 p.m. here at Grace, please do so. We'd love to have you with us. So tomorrow, this week is a big week in the life of Grace, and tomorrow especially. Okay, that's to the side. What are we reading this week? Because with Ash Wednesday, we begin the season of Lent. We have left behind the season. Today is Fat Tuesday in some parts of the world, which is the day in which you celebrate in excess in order to prepare for the fasting and the more solemn reflection that is associated with Ash Wednesday and Lent. Well, I'm going to start reading our readings for the first Sunday in Lent. And so our first reading for this first Sunday in Lent, this journey towards Easter, comes from Deuteronomy chapter 26, verses 1 through 11. When you have come into the land that the Lord your God is giving you as an inheritance to possess, and you possess it and settle in it, you shall take some of the first of all the fruit of the ground, which you harvest from the land that the Lord your God is giving you, and you shall put it in a basket, and go to the place that the Lord your God will choose as a dwelling for his name. You shall go to the priest who is in office at that time, and say to him, Today I declare to the Lord your God that I have come into the land that the Lord swore to our ancestors to give us. When the priest takes the basket from your hand and sets it down before the altar of the Lord your God, you shall make this response before the Lord your God. A wandering Aramean was my ancestor. He went down into Egypt and lived there as an alien, few in number, and there he became a great nation, mighty and populous. When the Egyptians treated us harshly and afflicted us by imposing hard labor on us, we cried to the Lord, the God of our ancestors. The Lord heard our voice and saw our affliction, our toil, and our oppression. The Lord brought us out of Egypt with a mighty hand and an outstretched arm, with a terrifying display of power and with signs and wonders. And he brought us into this place and gave us this land, a land flowing with milk and honey. So now I bring the first of the fruit of the ground that you, O Lord, have given me. You shall set it down before the Lord your God and bow down before the Lord your God. Then you, together with the Levites and the aliens who reside among you, shall celebrate with all the bounty that the Lord your God has given to you and to your house. The word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. So this passage from Deuteronomy, I think, deserves a bit of context, as does most of Scripture, obviously, but this deserves a bit of context because it's lifted out of a longer section. And one of the longer books of the first 5 books, one of the longer books of the Torah. Deuteronomy, unlike some of the others in the Torah, is largely a sermon. It has law in it, similar to Leviticus and similar to Numbers. But Deuteronomy is a story that's is the sermonizing of Moses in response to all of this pattern of this journey. Moses, in some ways, in the book of Deuteronomy, is laying out all of the events that have happened from the time of Abraham through Jacob and the settling of Israel in Egypt, and then from the time that he came into the picture, from the time of Exodus, taking the nation out of slavery and into the wilderness. And there's more journey to come. And so Moses, in some ways, Deuteronomy is his final long address to the people. And this section which is one of the longer sections in Deuteronomy, is concluded by Deuteronomy 26. Chapter 12 through 26 is what they call the Deuteronomic Code. That is, there is some law within Deuteronomy, even though it is this long, extended sermon. But there is law that is establishes times of not just the laws that govern daily life, but also times of ritual and times of remembrance. And so this is what this is. This is instructions for the people so that they do not forget the journey that they have been on, that their ancestors have gone through. And so it starts when you have come into the land that the Lord your God is giving you. When you get to the promised land, when you get to Canaan and you have it and you're settled in it, when the life that has been promised when you reach it, when you get there, this code, you are commanded to bring the first fruits. You're commanded to bring what has come out of the ground by the grace of God, and you offer it in the temple. And when you do that, when you live, when you observe this faith ritual, it isn't meant really for the sake of God, but throughout this section, it is meant to remind the person who's worshiping where they've come from. The fact that they can offer this has to be undergirded by the reminder of where their ancestors came from and what they have endured. You have a sense that the journey, the pilgrimage to the temple itself, is a recreation of the pilgrimage that the people of Israel had been on and were going to be on. It's a journey that winds through the troubles of Abraham, through the uncertainty of the existence of a nation, of the birth of his people despite their great age, that God was with them through that journey. And God was with Jacob and with Joseph, surviving the famine that allowed them to survive in Egypt. God was with the people in Egypt when Pharaoh became an oppressor. God was with Moses and the people as they left Egypt under the protection of God and God alone, and into the wilderness, where they struggled and went hungry, where they had to learn how to follow God step by step by faith alone. And so this reminder is for the people that you are still on the journey, and they would be after the reaching of the promised land, after the struggles in Joshua and in Judges, after the divisiveness of the kings after David, after the exile, the Babylonian exile, after the Roman conquest, after the destruction of the temple by the Romans. On and on the journey goes, and throughout all of it, this festival is observed as a reminder that that God is the same God. That God is the same God that walked with Abraham, that was with Moses, and would be with them in the future. That this continual memory, this long-standing national memory, is linked to who they are, a reminder of who they are and where they've come from, as a way not just to warn them, but also to give comfort, to give identity, to give a shape to the challenges they were facing in their day and in their day today. And so for us, as we read this, we have stories of struggle. Grace has its own stories. From 1903, this church was founded by Finnish immigrants, and from that time, there have been seasons of growth and seasons of decline. There have been seasons of celebration and seasons of difficulty. And through all of that, it's the same God. It's the same God that has been with this church, just as God was with the people of Israel and with the Jewish people through the ages. We worship that same God who is faithful to us and invites us into faithful relationship with God. So that is our first reading, and that is the start of our season of Lent. So I hope you are enjoying the little bit of warmth we have. I hope you are staying healthy. I hope you're staying safe. Okay, see you later.